G'day guys, James here. So it's been a few days since I posted the conditioning workout video, and since then, as I mentioned in that video, I was going off to see a sports doctor over at the Olympic Park Sports Medicine Centre about my hip flexor issue that has been unresolved for a better part of a year and a half now. I've seen several, I say several, but I've seen two osteos about this. Done a lot of sort of rehabilitation exercises, all that kind of stuff, and nothing's really worked. But I went and saw this guy, and he's diagnosed me with a thing called hip impingement syndrome, which is the reason I'm doing the trap bar deadlifts on the platform, and you'll understand why I'm doing that when I explain the injury. But basically, what hip impingement syndrome is when you got the hip joint, and it's when the ball of the femoral head, the femoral neck rub against the socket, and it can go the other way around, like the socket can rub against the head. And so I'm not sure which way it is for me until I get an X-ray, but basically what happens is they rub against one another, generates friction, which causes the bone to adapt and grow a lesion, which is perfectly natural, but it's unintended, obviously. And what that does is it limits your range of motion, rubs the cartilage off of the hip joint, and causes early arthritis. So what it means for me as a trainer is a trainee is that I have to train with a limited range of motion on things like the squat. Obviously, I can still deadlift perfectly well, but when it comes to squatting, doing box jumps, I can't really do box jumps, or not very high ones anyway, because that'll cause more tissue damage and it'll rub off more cartilage, making the whole thing a lot harder to repair in the long term. I don't know yet how it will affect Bikram yoga, because there are a few movements, a few postures in that exercise that do require the knee to come up towards the chest and even towards the opposite shoulder, which is pretty much simulates the pain. That's how the doctor diagnosed it, by bringing the left knee up towards the right shoulder, bringing in hip adduction, internal rotation, simulates the pain. So those kind of movements are going to have to be entirely avoided, which is why I'm doing the trap bar deadlift. As you can see, there's a platform there which probably takes about I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 inches out of the movement, the bottom of the movement, which allows me to avoid that deep range of motion that causes me to have the pain. So, irrespective of the fact that I've got this injury, I can continue to train through it. And the trap bar deadlift it's half a squat, half a deadlift, because there is quite a lot of knee bending in it, whereas with a normal deadlift there's not quite that much knee bending. And there's certainly there's less, I don't quite know how to describe it, but in summary, I'd say it's close to a squat. You cannot substitute a squat, but this is as close as I can safely get to it, which is perfectly fine, because I love this kind of exercise. I love trap bar deadlifting. It's a good movement. So I'm going to keep moving with that. At the moment, I think I'll wait till the operation is matured, because it's fairly new. They've just brought in this thing called hip arthroscopy, or whatever, which is, it allows you to undergo a procedure where they put like a sort of a scope through the hip and a lot of other smaller instruments without having to entirely open up the hip. They can go in there and they can saw off the lesion and repair any associated damage to nearby tissues. And there's usually a 3-month recovery period, so there's a couple of factors that lead into whether I go through with it. First things first, it has to be strategically chosen, the time period that I do it in. I can't just react to it and get it done because I need to get it done, and it might affect my participation in competitions. It has to be done after a big competition where there's a lot of rest afterwards, which will give me the time that I need to recover. The second thing is, it's a fairly new procedure, so what's going to happen is I'm going to wait till the procedure matures and all the side effects and recurrence rates are known. Apparently there's a lot of football players that are getting it done at the moment, so I'm going to let them get it done for free, see what it does for them, and then I'll go through, and if I'm fairly convinced that the recurrence rate is fairly low, and I can avoid it coming back because it might be genetic, it might be the way that my left hip has grown over time as I've matured from a teenager to an adult. That way that hip external rotation is meant to develop as you become an adult has not happened on the left side. If you look at my left foot, when I stand, my right foot is externally rotated, whereas the left foot just points straight. And that apparently that straight pointing of the foot is something from adolescence. And when you become an adult, the hips are meant to externally rotate more, which leads to your toes pointing outwards more. But it hasn't happened on the left side, which might explain why I've got the lesion on the hip impingement syndrome on the left hip. So if there's a high recurrence, then it's not worth it, for me. I don't want to go and get a bloody haircut on my hip every 3 years just to get rid of this bone growth. So I can continue to train around it. I can do yoke exercises to acclimate the upper body to accepting high amounts of weight over the shoulders, and trap bar deadlifting. Obviously I can never substitute a squat. It's going to be a hole in the training, but it's better that than get early hip arthritis. And for anyone who thinks that I've got this because I do weight training, it's a 50-50, right? There's genetic predisposition towards getting it, and there's the environment in which it's grown. Obviously things like squats are going to aggravate it, but it's not because of squatting. If you don't have the genetic predisposition, you'll never get it. You can squat, and you won't have that friction that allows that growth to occur. So please do not spread misinformation about getting extra bones in your hips because you squat. As brutal as that sounds, it's not true. So anyway, enough about that. Well, a bit about the workout. Oh shit, check this stuff out.
Holy shit, I nearly put my hand on that thing.
Dead set. That little motherfucker crawled out of that tiny hole in the corner and nearly got on my hand. He would have fucked my shit up. But anyway, this is a pretty good workout for me. Namely because of the shoulder press was really good. It's actually 5 kilos heavier than what it was 3 weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago. I posted a video not long ago of me doing shoulder press. I could only do 25 kilos, and by the time I got to the third set, I was bugging. Like I couldn't complete the five reps. But tonight, or last night, sorry, I should say, I took the weight up halfway through because it was too easy. So the neuromuscular system's recovery there, the muscle memory has come back now, so I can start to make some real progress on that strict shoulder press, which is really exciting. So I'm up to 30 kilos now in plates. I don't know how much the bar is. I usually don't include the implement in the weight that I record. I just include the plates. Just saves me a lot of fart assing around, fighting how much the implement weighs. And Victor was helping me out here with the chin up. Yeah, just giving me a different way of doing it, because normally I do two sets to failure on chin up, and I just haven't made any progress on it. So we're doing some single reps for max weight. I think a couple of the attempts here I don't fully get the chin up, but that's alright. It allows me to work out what my max weight will be, and this is without weight. So yeah, it's a really successful workout, and I'm very happy with the trap bar deadlift. I think the next few years for me, it's going to be a lot of deadlifting. So there's going to be a lot of grip work, good opportunity to train up the grip, prime that grip right up, so it's stronger than ever before. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's a shame I can't do squats right now, but the most important thing is that I know what's wrong with my hip, and that I can manage it. Before I didn't even know what the fuck was going on, so I could rock up to a session thinking, I've done all this rehabilitation, am I going to be able to squat? Try to squat, get disappointed, feel like shit, but none of that anymore. I know what it is, I know I can manage it, and I work around it, so it's all good. So yeah, just a few dips. I was pretty happy with these dips. They were fucking brutal dips actually. For the last couple of reps, I was really happy with the last couple of reps. So yeah, Tuesday is going to be another strength session. Then Friday will be conditioning. I was meant to make it to Bikram yoga this morning, but I didn't get home till 12 o'clock last night from the Victor Tang Palace of Destruction. So I had a bit of an extra sleep in, and as you might be able to tell by the coarseness of my voice, I've just woken up. But I'm going to go to the pool later today, go for a bit of a swim. It's going to be great, and probably make my way over to the Bikram Yoga Studio. I'm just a bit hesitant to do it, seeing as I've just received all this information, but I know it's beneficial for my spine. If it's, like obviously there's just certain movements I'm not going to do during the yoga because I don't want to aggravate my left hip. Anyway, this has been another exciting workout down at the Victor Tang Palace of Destruction. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you all again on Tuesday or Wednesday. Take care.
Fuck.
I did not. I said vagina.
Do you want to start again?